So this is the FJ before the Mickey Thompson 305s. And this is the FJ after the 305s. I actually didn't go with Mickey Thompson. I went with Comp Xtreme MT2, but they're still 305s. They're 305, 65, 17. So I feel they're a good fit. I mean, they look great. There's no wheel spacers on them. So these rims have a -6 offset, and they're 17/9. These specific rims are Trailmaster TM210, and there's a 17-inch, obviously, I mentioned that already. And the tires, as I said, so they're Comp Xtreme MT2. Looking down the side, so they're sticking just out of the side of the body. All in all, probably 2 inches full from the edge of the factory fender flares. And the front, let me turn the front wheel straight. So I've got my wheel set straight, and if you look, it seems like the front wheel tucks in about a ½ inch more than the rear wheel, which is not bad. So whenever on the next video, I'm gonna have me installing the Bushwhacker fender flares. So I'm going to go through, just like I did the walkthrough on how to lift this, the front and the rear. Whenever I did that, I'm going to also have a video on how to install, like step by step, how to install the Bushwhacker fender flares to the FJ Cruiser, because I'm pretty sure you have to cut the plastic, which I don't want to do. I'm going to try to get around that somehow, but if I can't get around it, I'm going to end up cutting plastic to put those fender flares in. But they look nice. They really do look nice. So my front suspension, just talking about everything that I have installed. At first I put the with the rough country kit that I installed in my last video, it comes with a spacer that you put on the top of the factory strut, but the problem with that is that the bottom of that shock ends up breaking off whenever you could be just driving down the road and hit a pothole and ends up breaking off. So I ended up going with these OME Old Man Emu Nitrocharger Sport 90,000. That's the ones that fit the FJ Cruiser. The OME Nitrocharger Sport 90,000. I'll walk around to the other side where I'm in the shade. But those fit the FJ Cruiser, and the ones that I actually put on with the 886 coils, the coilovers. So that together gives this a 4-inch lift, which is the maximum that the Total Chaos Fabrication upper control arm can handle. If you try to do the same lift, or if you try to do a suspension lift on the factory upper control arm, I've seen ball joints completely rip out of this socket that's in the upper control arm, which means you would have to get another upper control arm, or you would think about getting aftermarket ones. And then the labor with that, and then the cost in towing if you're off-road when it happens, and the cost in towing from off-road, and the risk of damaging something else, just the possibility of that, it's way more worth it just to go with, to spend the extra money and get the upper control arms. You can do a lift without replacing the upper control arms, but it's far safer. Total Chaos is slightly more expensive than, I forget what the other brand is, but there's another brand. These are slightly more expensive, but I just like them. A coworker of mine that's also got an FJ Cruiser was asking me the other day, he's like, what is that thing that's right above your tire that's just kind of peeking out right there? It looks nice. And I told him, well, it's an upper control arm, and I explained why I put it on. And so that corrects the how straight the wheel sits, because whenever you do a suspension lift, your wheel actually doesn't sit straight anymore. It kind of tucks in a little bit on the bottom. But I'm going to cut my wheel all the way to the right in a second. I'm going to show how much clearance I have here, but it's a little bit less than a ½ inch. What guys will do on this, it's called a body mount mod. They'll basically, a lot of FJ Cruiser guys know about it, but if you don't, I'm just going to talk about it for a second. A lot of guys will they'll cut this huge section out of this body mount, because, I mean, it's not a load-bearing section. They'll just cut it out, and then they'll put a plate in that lines it up with the bottom of this wheel well where it kind of goes down, so you can so you don't have to worry about rubbing when you're off-roading. This one, if I were to pull into a parking lot, or if I were to pull into a driveway or something that's got a slight incline whenever I drive into it, then just if my wheels cut all the way to the right, there's a good chance that I'm going to rub right there, and after a while then it'll wearing down my tire or just wearing through there. I'm probably going to grind this down a little bit anyway, so it's not rubbing. And you can see this is slightly larger than a 1/4 inch but smaller than a 1/2 inch, the gap between the body mount here and the wheel. So the wheel's cut all the way, and this is about 3/8 of an inch gap, and like I said, it's less than a 1/2 inch larger than a 1/4 inch, and I'm just gonna guess it's about 3/8 of an inch. It'll be hard for me to get my measuring tape in there just because of the angle of the tire and the just the way that my measuring tape is shaped. I'm not even gonna worry about that. Eyeballing it, it is definitely about 3/8 of an inch. I would almost bet on that. This is definitely less than 1/2 and larger than a 1/4 inch, that gap. But if I hit a bump, it would rub, and so I'm probably just gonna have this shaved just a little bit. But 4-inch front lift, 305, 65, 17, as you can see right there, they fit almost no problem. Man, having this thing sitting beside the S2000, it just looks even more like a beast because it's just such a tiny car. You look at the front, look at the front of the S2000 compared to the rear tire. It's the whole tire just kind of sits above the S2000 hood, which is, I think that's cool. It looks like I could stack 2 S2000s on top of each other and it wouldn't even be as tall as the FJ. But yeah, but this is it though, and it's the rough country rear lift. I didn't use anything with the rough country front suspension because all it was a spacer that they had that you put on top of the shock assembly for the front end. But anyway, going around this whole thing, and there's my 5th wheel there. So going around this whole thing, so the tires, again, they're Trailmaster TM210, which is a 17/9 rim and a -6 offset 305 65/17 tire, which is about a 33-inch diameter tire. It's close to a 33-inch. I think they said at 4-wheel parts, the shop here, that it was slightly over 33 inches diameter. And then so it's a rough country rear coil and the rear shock, or I think it's a strut. And then the front suspension, I have the OME, which is Old Man Emu Nitrocharger Sport with the 886 coil. And the 886 coil, that with the Nitrocharger Sport, gives it a 4-inch front lift, and then I have a 2-inch rear lift, and then a Total Chaos Fabrication upper control arm. The Total Chaos makes some awesome stuff. But anyway, that's it. I might have mentioned I brought my side step out an inch just by adding some, they're called hood spacers. Little rice rocket guys will use them to lift up the rear of their hood so that it'll vent some heat out. But I've got to find a wheel cover for a 305. I'm trying to find one that's got the Shield logo with the Shield, the Strategic Homeland Intervention, I don't know, whatever it stands for. I want to find the Shield logo and then put it on the back. It's got like a little falcon thing. I think that would be cool. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching though. Please like, subscribe, comment, leave suggested ideas on things that you want me to do a video on. Ideas that you have, whatever you want to see. I'm going to have some lighting videos going to do also. I want to put a lights on the roof rack, and what I want to do is get a what's it called, a linear actuator, which is just it's a telescoping rod pretty much, and if I can set that up right and configure it right, I want to make it where my lights are leaned down and they're just kind of facing straight up until I flip a switch, and then it turns on, and then it just folds the lights up so that I can use them when they're off-road, when I'm off-road. And then in normal situations they would just be folded down inside the cage of the roof rack. So that, and then I have some lights that I ordered that actually just came in. They're cheap Chinese brand, I think Super 4x4. They're the ones that are all over Amazon and eBay, but they were like half the price of the PIAA ones, so I'm going to throw those on the front. So check out the description for other videos, and I've got some more videos that I've done on this to include the video lifting it. My next video is going to be on the Bushwhacker fender flares, and I've got one of pulling the center console out, one of just some other stuff. So check out those other videos, and just, yeah, thanks a lot for watching. So again, like, subscribe, comment, and yeah, God bless you guys.